Sleep tight, Nightlings. Today is going to be a very intense episode of the Horror Headquarters, and it is also episode 33. And I am so beyond blessed that you guys are all here listening and tuning in to this episode. Today's episode is going to be focusing on the horrific experience that I had back in June of 2023 when I engaged in a sleep study. This is also going to overlap with how horrible the health industry is, as well as how out of proportion and out of touch it is, especially in today's generation. Now, I'm talking about this because I'm hoping it will help me overcome some trauma that I still have yet to deal with, as well as help anyone else out there that has gone through a similar situation or is thinking about doing a sleep study. But I'm just gonna dive right into it. Here we go. It's funny because in between takes of recording this episode, I have to shake my head because of how upsetting it was, of how upsetting of an experience it was to be in that sleep lab. And I'm just gonna start from the beginning. I've had sleep issues for as long as I can remember. I just never really got a proper night of sleep. I would wake up exhausted and just so blech, if that makes any sense. So I ended up scheduling an appointment with my doctor, told him all the issues I'm having. I've actually been talking to sleep doctors for a while now, and it just took them forever to finally approve me for a sleep study because, of course, insurance is expensive as heck, and thankfully they covered it. We'll get more into that later. But it was definitely a very exhilarating experience. They finally scheduled me for a sleep study that basically takes place in this complex. It's not even a hospital. It literally felt like a prison walking into it because the doors are sealed locked and everything, and it was just so weird, like the environment of it all. And I remember walking in and I just didn't see anyone, and you basically have to find yourself to where the sleep study is going to be taking place. It's a pretty medium complex. It's not humongous. It was just interesting to not even see anyone when you first walk in, like in a waiting room or anything like that. I actually ended up recording some of this, and that's another thing I wanted to talk about. Is I did record the experience before, during, and after, just to I don't know, see how I adjusted with everything, how it all went. Um, I actually haven't posted it because it's actually some really traumatic data that I got on the phone. I don't even know if data is the proper word, but you know what? I might upload it. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll compile it all together. I cannot speak, and upload it. So yeah, I mean the sleep study, it takes place at night. I had to arrive at the place around 7:30. You walk in and they walk you through everything. They tell you how everything's gonna go. They explain what all the sensory stuff they put on you is. Yeah, that's another thing. They put wires everywhere, on my face, all over my body, on my legs, on my foot, on my hand, on my chest, everywhere. Literally everywhere. And especially around my eyes and on my head. So they basically want to see the brain waves, the response to sleeping, all that kind of stuff to give a full and proper diagnosis. So I was really taken by it because if you know anything about me, I move a lot in bed. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are like that, but I am always constantly moving when I'm sleeping or even getting ready to sleep. I cannot be stagnant. That just doesn't play well with me. I always have to be moving around, finding my comfortable spot. You can't do that with this. I had to be 100% still. If I made any little movement, it would affect, it would F up all the wires that were attached to me. And they said that they speak with you basically over an intercom, and they say if you move too much, then we're gonna have to redo this entire thing. So it was just a lot of stress. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me first talk about the experience of how it was when they first came in and were introducing themselves, and the people that were helping me throughout this process. I honestly look at this as a positive of, like, the entire experience, and that positive is the people. They were extremely, extremely nice and so sweet, and I told them I was scared and I was worried that I wasn't gonna fall asleep. Spoiler alert, I didn't end up sleeping for, like, 7 hours? Maybe more than that. Yeah, it was just very bad, but, like, they came in, they were, like, putting all these wires around me, all, like, these clips. There was, like, something he had to, like, put around my waist too. Just everything was, like, so weird, like, I was, like, asking the whole time, like, "Is this really the protocol? Like, there isn't a simpler way to do this?" And they're like, "No, 'cause this is the only way we can get a proper diagnosis." But they were very, very nice. I just wanna put that out there right now. I'm obviously not gonna disclose where I got all of this done, but the people were the best part of this experience. They were just really nice and catering to what I needed for the most part, and I just wanted to put that out there. Just, shed some light, I can't speak, shed some light on the experience as a whole. But I'm gonna start to get into the really horrific aspects and things that still they still keep me up at night, and like the post traumatic stress from it all. But let's go right into when the sleep study was beginning. My stomach is like turning upside down because I haven't really talked about this as much as I would hope to. Don't worry, I'm not doing this. I'm not gonna like freak out over this. Like, I think I've gotten to a point where I want to talk about it. I want to let it out. Hence why I'm doing this episode for you guys. So basically, they attach all these wires to you. As I said, like, it's like glue basically, and then put tape on your face, like all over like your head and like everywhere, like I said. And then they give you like this big humongous thing that all your wires are attached to, and you have to walk around with it. Like, if you want to go to the bathroom, you have to pick it up with you and walk to the bathroom. And then when you sit in bed, you like attach it to like the wall or something, and then you lay down. Now, the best way I can describe how the wires felt, or just a visual representation of it, is think of Rapunzel. Think of all the hair that she had. That's literally how the wires felt. Like, that really is the best way I can explain it. Now, they said that they wanted me to go to sleep around like 9:30, 10 o'clock, so that they could get like a full night of like studies done, like of the research and everything, the data that they were doing. So I laid in bed, and it wasn't until I laid down that I realized how restricted everything was. I couldn't turn to my left side, to my right side. I had to be sleeping with my back like on the bed. You can't turn around or anything. And if you do, like I said, it F's up everything. And that was a huge trigger for me. I did not know it was going to be like that. They unfortunately didn't tell me that's how sleep studies were done, because when I looked it up online, like, they said nothing about that. Like, they said you can move freely a lot, but nope, could barely move. And I, sorry, throughout the night, I just had my eyes shut, was trying to sleep, and I couldn't. I could not fall asleep, and I wanted so badly to like start crying and like completely freak out, and I couldn't, because if I cried, then it f's up the sensory systems, because I had like tape around my eyes and all these sensors around like wires, and if I did end up crying or like they got wet, they would have ruined and they would have had to redo everything. It was torture. It was just really, really, really bad. Like I said, this is my experience. If you've had a great experience with it, that's amazing. I don't know anyone that's had a great experience with it. But this lasted, I'm gonna do the math really quick, I think 8 or 9 hours. I think even longer than that. I woke up the next day at like 8:30. Well, first let me say, I don't even remember falling asleep. I do not remember even falling asleep, because I was just so stressed the whole night. I was constantly talking to the people on the intercom. Like, if you want to talk to them, like, you say hello and everything, and then they'll eventually answer, because there's like cameras everywhere, like watching you. And I told them, I asked for melatonin, and they couldn't give me one because it's against protocol apparently. And that's when I realized I wish I brought a melatonin with me because the lady over the phone said I couldn't bring one, but they said I could have. So it. Sorry. Oh god. It really took a toll on me. I was literally staring at the ceiling for 9 hours plus, and I literally thought it was never ending. I felt like I was in a prison ward. I felt like I was in like my cell. I felt like really dark inside. My depression got really bad from it also. And I know this is called the horror headquarters and everything, but you know what? This is a horrific experience that I'm sharing because of how terrifying it was. This is literally a real life, true horror story, hence why I'm sharing everything that went down. But yeah, couldn't sleep, couldn't move. Um, it's literally the worst. The best way I can put it is think, hmm, literally feel like you're in an asylum and you have like you're like tied down like on your legs, on your hands, and your head. That's what it felt like. Like I was attached down to this bed and it was so uncomfortable, by the way. God, it was horrible. Um yeah, and I'm going to jump around a little bit and I'm going to go to after they walked in at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I have to check my phone because I recorded when they came in, but it was just not a fun experience, especially when they woke me up because something really bad happened. And I didn't even know it happened until after I was dismissed. Around 8, 8:30, they came into the room and they woke me up. Like I said, I don't even remember falling asleep, but they woke me up and they said, "All right, you're all set." And I like woke up in like a haze. I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "That's it?" I'm like, "I went to sleep." And the lady literally told me straight up and she said, "Yeah, we got about 30 minutes." I wanted to start crying. She was like taking off all like these wires and I told her like, "Can I start crying now?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I just took them off. She was like taking them off and I just started busting out crying and she felt really bad. She's like, "I know we felt so bad. We were sitting in like the room watching you and we saw like you were struggling and you like wanted to cry and you couldn't and like you were going through a lot. That's why like we tried talking with you through like the intercom to try and calm you down, to relax you, so that you could get the proper sleep we needed." But she said surprisingly the 30 minutes was all she needed, and I was diagnosed with sleep apnea. And it's bittersweet, but it's more like bitter because yeah, I got diagnosed with sleep apnea and I realized what was going on, what I needed. I got a CPAP machine and all that stuff. And then recently my healthcare took it away. So I hate the healthcare system. I'm literally majoring in biology and I hate the healthcare system because I want to try changing it. I mean, I'm not going into like a doctor or anything, even though my parents are dying for me to become one. Um, yeah, so I look at the sleep study as a waste of time. I look at it as something I wish I didn't do because apparently it was useless. I knew I had sleep apnea before going in, but in order for them to give me the machine, they had to have proof. For anyone out there that's considering a sleep study, do not do it. If you are going to do it, do the at home test and fight for it. Don't let them take you to one at like a facility because I promise you, you will not like it. And if you like moving around a lot in bed and you like a comfortable bed, then I promise you wouldn't like it. Now, when I was leaving, like you basically like take a change of clothes to like change out of, and then all this like glue and like sticky stuff that's like around your body, they try washing it off with like alcohol and everything. They got most of it out, and then like she said like you're good to go, you're dismissed. Don't forget to do the exit survey, which I forgot to do it, but it wasn't a big deal. Anyways, the big thing that happened that I didn't even I don't know why she didn't bring it up. I don't know if it's a normal thing, but I walked into the bathroom because I had to go to the bathroom after she took off all the wires. And I walk in, I turn on the light, and I see like this flash of red in the mirror, and I look up and my whole nose is bleeding. And like it was bleeding to the point where like it was covering my mouth, and I didn't know if my mouth was bleeding. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, and I didn't know what it was from. I don't know if I hit myself on accident with something. I don't know if it was just obstructed in a way, if it was the air that was like attached to my nose. I had like that air thing that they put in your nose. Um, it scared the shit out of me. I was gonna ask them about it, but I was just so like I was very exhausted, and I was just so traumatized by the experience that I didn't want to talk to anyone. I'm like, I literally just want to go home. I didn't end up changing my clothes because I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. I like literally put my shoes on, grabbed my bag, and was out of there. And as soon as I got home, showered, and went to sleep for the rest of the day. But I still don't know why my nose was bleeding, and I still don't know if my mouth was possibly bleeding as well because I had like blood surrounding it. So that's something that still haunts me to this day. And I want to talk a little bit about the experience after. So, like, after this whole thing happened and how it affected my sleep as a result. Now, after this whole sleep study was over and I was like back obviously to sleeping at home, I was having reoccurring nightmares that I was waking up in the facility where I was having this done, and I actually still have those dreams. I actually just had one last night, and it was horrible. And I think that's what's made me start talking about it, because I think, at least for my own sanity, I need to let somebody know about what happened. I mean, it's a couple people know, but I just feel like I want to talk about it on a public way so that people out there who have struggled the same way or have been through certain things that were traumatic, just so that they know that they're not alone in the situation. But yeah, I was really afraid to sleep. After a couple days, I like told my mom, I'm like, I really don't want to go to sleep. Like, I usually love sleeping. I don't like it anymore because it scares me. Because I fear that I'm gonna wake up back in that facility, and I know that's obvious I'm not going to, but if you haven't been through an experience like that, then you wouldn't understand like the capacity of how terrifying it all is. Now, it has gotten a little bit better. I mean, they did take the sleep machine away, the CPAP machine, so I've just been taking like this natural pill to help me sleep. It's been helping a little bit, but right now it's Ramadan. If you guys don't know what Ramadan is, it's a time where Muslims around the world fast from sunrise to sunset. No water, no food, nothing, no gum. And it's kind of made it a little bit harder to fall asleep and get a good night's rest. But you know, I look at this experience as a learning experience as much as I didn't want it to happen, and just want to put it out there right now, I would never do this again. I would never get a study done on sleep. I don't care how long it is. I don't care if it's an overnight thing, if it's an hour study, if it's like in the afternoon. I would not do it again because I am so traumatized by the experience, and I wouldn't wish the experience I had on anyone in the world because that really is how bad it was and how much it scarred me as a result. And it was just really bad, and I have to laugh about it because if I don't laugh about it then I start crying. It's a coping mechanism as a result of like the trauma. But yeah, anytime I go to sleep, I try to meditate before, try to tell myself that I'm in a safe place, that I won't ever do something like that again. I've built boundaries as a result. I always try to look at the positive in every situation, no matter what it is, and no matter how hard it can be. I think it's still taking me time to come to terms with what happened that night, why I was bleeding. I don't think I'll ever know. I tried doing research on it, but nothing really lined up because the amount of blood that was coming out of my nose, and then like the lady not even telling me that I was bleeding was just interesting to me. And it's something that I'm haunted by. And I'm hoping that one day I find the answers to that. But I personally, if I'm being completely honest and open with you guys, I don't think I will find out the answers. I think that's just a gray area. But who knows? Maybe I'll wake up one day and be like, oh, it's from this, and I'll recall what happened that night. Because how do you bleed that much within like 30 minutes? Also, it was all over my clothing, like on my pants, everything. It was not even on the bed too. I don't know why she didn't say anything, and I don't know how I didn't notice it until I walked into the bathroom and looked in the mirror. So yeah, I hate the healthcare system. I am very traumatized by that experience as a result. And if any of you guys out there have been through something similar, please, please, please drop it in the Q&A, because I would love to hear your guys' stories, hear stories if you guys know someone that's been through a similar thing that has sleep issues. Because I definitely think it's an area where we need more accommodations, more studies done to better accommodate people and to not leave them traumatized as a result and have them hating the healthcare industry. I'm not saying this in a way where I'm saying I hate nurses and doctors. I think that is the most difficult job in the world. I just hate how like healthcare works. Like there's no such thing as universal healthcare, unfortunately, and I wish there was. And there's just so much improvement that we can do, and I'm hoping is done in the future. This is not me hating on the healthcare system. I just need to keep saying that because I feel like I'm gonna get attacked and say, "Oh, well, like doctors aren't necessary and all this stuff." They are 100% necessary. And it's just me. It's just my experience with this whole thing. And I'm sorry if this episode is short or long. I literally don't know how long it is right now because I'm not looking at my computer. But I hope this brings you guys some clarity on just how sleep studies are done, how traumatic they can be, how insane the health industry works. This is really a horror story about how the health industry works, how trauma is induced by this kind of stuff, how it affects your performance afterwards, how it can just decrease certain things and affect other areas in your life. But yeah, that's the episode. Again, if you guys have ever experienced something like this, I would love, love, love to know. If you're not comfortable enough to talk about it, that's completely fine as well. But please drop it in the Q&A or message me on any of our social media. Now, before I wrap in this episode, I do want to state that I think it's important to explain how a lot of these nightmares end up playing out. Like when I imagine that I'm back in that facility, basically feeling like I'm tied up in a bed and can't move. A lot of them is basically like a never ending tunnel I wake up in, and I like open the door and it's just this white area and I just keep walking down it and like there's no ending to it. And I just get lost and I like close my eyes and try to wake myself up. That's kind of what the dream entails of. Or sometimes I wake up from the bed and I am able to move and then I suddenly just start falling continuously. So these dreams are not fun. These dreams are really horrible. But I just wanted to put that out there because I can go on and on and on about the dreams I've had about this experience. I might in a later episode, but I'm more open about it. Who knows? We'll see. The sleep study is complete, Nightlings. We have reached the end point of episode 33 of the Horror Headquarters. I hope that this spiel that I just went on kind of educates you guys on how all this works, educates you on the issues with the healthcare system, with sleep studies in general, just how traumatic they are. And I don't know. I mean, who am I to speak? I'm majoring in biology. I've learned about a bunch of this stuff and about how the healthcare system works. So who am I to talk? Obviously, everyone has conflicting opinions, everyone has differing opinions. That's completely fine. I'd be more than happy to hear you guys out in the comments. Another reason why I'm doing this episode is I really hope that someone out there can empathize with this issue can relate to it on a very personal level, and that it kind of shows you that you're not alone in this situation. Because I know there's a lot of people out there, especially that I've met, that have had sleep studies done and they say that they're still traumatized by them. So I just want to kind of put my story out there, see if it does anything, even if it helps one person. That's amazing, and that truly touches my heart. And I hope it does reach out to at least one person. If not, then I hope that this was a good educational episode for everyone listening out there, anyone that's thinking about getting a sleep study done, any of that kind of stuff. But I do feel like I have a breath of fresh air after talking about this openly. I hope that you guys listened to this episode in its full capacity. If you did, I really, really, really do appreciate it. I am just so blessed to have a platform to like have over 100 followers now, which is amazing. It's just so exciting to even say that number, which is like unbelievable. Like, I'm so grateful and so blessed. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, please, please, please follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you guys are listening to us. Please share it to your friends and family if they're into horror stuff, into true horror experiences, anything movie related. Please follow us on Instagram at The Horror Headquarters, on Twitter at The Horror HQ, on TikTok at The Horror Headquarters, and on YouTube now at The Horror Headquarters, because Google Podcasts is shutting down starting April 1st or 2nd, I believe. So make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube if you guys are listening on Google Podcasts right now as this episode is dragging along. It's funny because I forgot to mention that the reason I'm talking about this now, or one of the reasons why I'm talking about this now, is because I'm literally directing a play that involves a girl that went to a sleep lab and had a sleep study done. And it was just really traumatic for her, and she states that it was a nightmare. But you know what? I'm going to save that for a different episode. So make sure to keep an eye out for that one, guys, because that one is going to be freaking good, because you're going to realize why I picked this play, why I'm directing it, why I'm so interested in it when you guys find out the full complexity of the play that I'm doing. But that's for another time. But until next time, tread very lightly and pray for forgiveness. Midnight hour is approaching, nightlings. Sleep well.